So, good morning, students. And today we will continue with the same chapter which we have started last week, that is control and coordination. In this chapter, two topics are left, that is a coordination in the plant, that means the plant hormone and the animal hormone. These two topics are left in this chapter. Now, before going into the today's topic, that is plant hormone, let me see how much you have acquired from your previous class, that is coordination in the plant, that means different movement in the plants. Let me throw some of the questions to you all randomly with some of the students. Okay, now it is only that you will raise your hand and you will not write the answer in the chat box. It will take time. So you just raise your hand and so that I can unmute you. First question, what do you mean by tropic movement? What do you mean by tropic movement? This we did in our last class. What do we mean by tropic movement? What do we mean by the tropic movement? Okay, Nitika, Nisha. Okay, Nitika, unmute yourself.
Directional movement in plants in response to stimuli.
Directional movement in plant in response to the stimuli. That means it is definitely growth dependent. Okay. Okay. Okay, Nitika, correct. Very good. Okay. Now, next question to all. What do you mean by nastic movement or nastism? What do you mean by nastic movement or nastism? This time, Nisha. I'm giving chance to Nisha.
Non-directional movements in plants in response to a stimuli. It is not dependent on growths.
Okay, correct. Non-directional movement. Definitely correct. Yes. Next question. What do we mean by phototropism? What do you mean by phototropism? Apart from Nitika, Nisha, there should be the next speaker now. Apart from Nitika and Nisha. Apart from Nitika and Nisha. Raise your hand. I don't want the same students answering again and again. All the students should participate while answering the question. Okay, Anushka, correct, good. Anushka, answer the question. What do you mean by phototropism?
Movement in plants due to light.
Movement in plants due to light. Anushka, remain unmuted. Which part of the plant will be positive phototropic and which part will be negative phototropic?
Stem will be positive and root will be negative.
Stem will be positive and root will be negative. Okay, fine. Good, Anushka. Okay, now students, I told you because since there was you got 3 days in between, that's why I hope that by this time all of you should be ready with whatever has been taught. Can anyone discuss about an activity to show the phototropism? I told student last day, even in board examination, these questions appeared for 5 marks. 10 points were written in them and half into 10, 5 marks was allotted. Discuss an activity to show phototropism. All this is a recapitulation first of what we did in our last class, and then I will proceed in today's class. Discuss an activity to show phototropism. How we can demonstrate for phototropism with an activity? Yes, this question is for Anant. Anant, Anant, unmute yourself and tell me one activity with the help of which we can demonstrate phototropism.
we will take a plant and it
Okay, towards light. Yes. Go ahead, Anand. Correct.
Observe that the leaves of the plant is growing towards the sunlight of coming from the window.
Okay, bend towards is correct. Very good. Now, my next question, what is geotropism? Raise your hand. What is geotropism? What do we mean by geotropism? Okay, Anushka. Okay, this time I'm giving chance to Anushka.
Movement of plants due to gravity.
Movements of plant due to gravity. Okay, good, Anushka. Now, after this, next question to yes, let me. Next question is demonstrate an activity to show geotropism. Demonstrate an activity to show geotropism. Demonstrate an activity to show geotropism. Okay, Anand. Unmute yourself, Anand.
Yes, sir.
Say, Anand.
Sir, we will take a plant in a pot and then we will मतलब प्लांट में जो पॉट में प्लांट होगा उसको हम लोग गिरा देंगे उसके बाद हम लोग देखेंगे ऑब्जर्व करेंगे कि जो रूट होगा वो अगर वो मिट्टी के कांटेक्ट में होगा तो वो मिट्टी के साथ ग्रो करते जाएगा जमीन के नीचे और जो स्टेम होगा वो उसके नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन यानी कि ऊपर ग्रो करते जाए.
Okay, okay, correct, Anand. If someone visualize this image also properly, then you can easily say that yes, this movement, or you can demonstrate the activity to show the movements. Correct, Anand? Now, what is chemotropism? What is chemotropism? Anyone? What is chemotropism? Again, Anand. I want some new names. I want some new names. That time, I observed, yes, Tafsheed, raised and Tafsheed. Unmute yourself. Tafsheed, unmute yourself. Tafsheed Alam, unmute yourself. Okay, Ria. Ria, unmute yourself, Ria.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is Tafsheed, na? Yes, Tafsheed. Say the answer. What is chemotropism? What is chemotropism? What do you mean by chemotropism? Okay, no problem. Ria.
Sir, can I?
Yes, who is this? Ria. Okay, yes, Ria, proceed.
Yes, sir. When plant move in the reaction to a chemical stimuli.
Ria, explain this with an example.
Sir,
Try. Don't hesitate. Try. How the chemotropism can be explained with the help of an example.
sir, in a plant, when pollen grains is come, then
Yes, pollen grain comes and sits over the stigma. Now, the growth of the pollen tube will be controlled by the chemicals secreted from the stigma. Okay, very good. Okay, Ria. Thank you. Now, okay. Now, what do you mean by hydrotropism? What do you mean by hydrotropism, students? Again, the same hand. Again, the same hand. Okay, Anushka. Anushka, what is hydrotropism?
Movement of plants in response to water.
Anushka, can you give or demonstrate an activity how the hydrotropism can be demonstrated through an activity? Can you tell any activity? Can you tell any activity, Anushka?
Sir, the growth of any normal plant.
The growth of?
Sir, the growth of any normal plant. Any normal plant, as we put the water in the roots, in the soil.
Okay. Okay, Anushka. Okay, correct. Now we are coming to the next movement, that is nastism. Okay. What is photonastism, students? Photonastism. Okay, Nisha again.
Non-directional movements in plants in response to light.
Okay, can you give an example?
Opening and closing of dandelion plants in response to light.
Opening and closing of the dandelion flower in response to light. Okay, correct. Now, very important question. Can you say two difference between phototropism and photonastism? Two difference at least between phototropism and photonastism. Okay, good. Yes, Nisha. Nisha, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Two
please
difference.
repeat the question once again.
Two difference between phototropism and photonastism.
Phototropism is a directional movements and photonastism is a non-directional movements.
Okay.
And phototropism stimuli is light. Example of photo. So I have.
Okay, no problem, Nisha. Fine, Anushka. Yes, you raised your hand immediately. Anushka, you want to take over the answer? Okay, tell me.
Phototropism is a directional movement, whereas photonastism is non-directional. They both share the same stimuli, but the reactions are different. And phototropism is dependent on growth, whereas photonastism doesn't depend on growth.
Very good. One you have to say directional or non-directional, and the other you have to say growth dependent or growth independent. These 2 points will cover it. Okay, very good. Now, last question. What state two difference between thigmotropism and thigmonastism? The last question. Thigmotropism and thigmonastism. At least two difference. Thigmotropism and thigmonastism. Just raise your hand so that I can unmute you. No one. Till now, no one raised. Okay, Nisha again. Okay, Nisha, unmute yourself.
So thigmotropism is a directional movement, whereas thigmonastism is a non-directional movement, and
Okay.
thigmotropism is a dependent on growths, whereas thigmonastism is not dependent on growths.
Not dependent on growth. Okay. Okay. Correct, Nisha. Very good. Now, students, we will be coming to our today's topic, that is the coordination in the plant with the help of the chemical, which are called the plant hormones. Plant hormone. Now, student, remember, plant hormone, there is a technical term. First of all, student, you will be asking that what is a hormone? Actually, students, you are knowing this from class 8 also. You have studied the hormones. Hormones are actually the chemical substance which are responsible for the growth, the development of the body. If you are calling or if you are talking about the plant hormone, one name is also One is we are directly saying plant hormones. While the other name is phyto. Remember, this is very important. Phytohormone. Phyto means plant. Okay, that is why the name is given phytohormone. Remember, altogether we have to study 4 plant hormone in our syllabus. And what are these? There are 3 plant hormone or the phytohormone which are called growth promoter because they help in promotion of or they promote the growth. What are the name of these 3 hormone? Auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. While there is one hormone which is called in short ABA, abscisic acid, which is a growth inhibitor. Now you will ask definitely if I'm saying that the definition of the hormone is that the hormone helping the growth and development, then why the growth inhibitor is required? Suppose student one hormone is promoting the growth continuously. So there must be some hormone also to stop that growth. And that is why the function of the growth inhibitor is also required in equal amount so that both promoter and the inhibitor should work parallelly. Is it clear to all? So altogether 4 hormones we have to study in our syllabus: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, and abscisic acid. So what we have to study now? The function of these hormones one by one. So let us first study about the function of the auxin. See, first function, it regulates the growth in the plants. When plant detect, now one very important thing, see students, when I will send you the material regarding the role of the hormones also, when there are many hormones, so the chances to get confused is too much. So a very important shortcut is there. Always try to memorize or always try to remember the functions which are common between auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, and abscisic acid. So the 4 function you will try to recall. So these are the 4 hormones. And now you will one by one, you will try, when we will study it separately. So you will see that there are some hormones which have the common function. So first a common function we will study, and then the special function we will also do it separately. Auxin definitely help in the growth of the plant. They promote fruit growth. They help in cell enlargement, cell differentiation. Cell differentiation means where the cell will be designated to form different tissues. Now, one very important thing is that all of you look to this diagram. This question comes separately in the examination, that how do auxin promote bending of plant part? See, this is very, very important. Now see what happens. This is a portion of a stem. Okay. Auxin hormone is present at the tip. First, when the light is coming from this side, perpendicular, the growth is uniform straight. But now see what happens when the sunlight is coming from one side. We say now the plant is bended toward the light. Why this bending is occurring? Definitely due to phototropism. But what happens due to light? See, when the hormones are definitely sensitive, when the light is coming from one side, the hormone auxin try to diffuse on the side which is away from the light, shady, okay, to protect itself. Now this part is growing and this part is not growing. So what happened? Ultimately, this part will bend. Are you getting my point? Let me clarify it once more. Suppose this is a stem. From this side, the light is coming. Now, auxin will try to diffuse on the side which is away from the light. As a result, this part is growing, but this part is not growing, but definitely at a slower rate. So what happened? It will bend. And that is why we say that how auxin promote the bending of the plant part. This is through this, that auxin get deposited on the side away from the light, and that is why it bend towards the It bends towards, the part bent towards the light, and the oxygen is deposited on the side which is bending away from the light. Did you got it, student? This one, this point is clear to all? This point is clear to all? All of the students, please respond through the chat box. Okay, fine. Now, the next function, auxin. Student, whatever function auxin was doing, gibberellin also will do the same function. It will help in the growth of the stem. It will help in cell enlargement, cell differentiation. But there is an exceptional function also of the gibberellin, which auxin was not doing. Gibberellin helps in, let me show you. Gibberellin helps in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds. What does this mean? Now, students, you must have seen that the seeds are germinating. Okay, you must have observed that the seeds are germinating and now the sprouts are coming. So, till it is in the resting stage, the seeds are said to be in the dormant stage. And when the seeds germinate, this we say the dormancy has been broken. So, who breaks this dormancy? It is the gibberellin which breaks this dormancy. Now, if we will come to the function of the cytokinin, the cytokinin promotes cell division. Definitely, it also helps. This is a common point between gibberellin and the cytokinin. The cytokinin also help in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds. Plus, the cytokinin also help in opening of the stomata. Now, you see, student, we have said, we talked about auxin, gibberellin and cytokinin, which were the growth promoter. Abscisic acid, ab dekho kya karta hai? Abscisic acid, we are saying that gibberellin, cytokinins are helping in breaking dormancy. But to check the growth of the seed has occurred fully or not, the seed which was in the resting stage, there is some hormone who will also maintain this resting state, and that is the abscisic acid. So what the abscisic acid is doing? The abscisic acid helps in maintaining dormancy so that the growth is proper or not, it will be checked. Plus, the abscisic acid also help in closing of stomata. Closing. So, cytokinin was helping in opening of the stomata, but abscisic acid, which is a growth inhibitor, will close the stomata. And you students, you all have seen that when the leaf falls, it curls. Okay. When the leaf falls after it's full, that means the plant has completed the full season. And now when the leaf falls, the leaf curls. This is called wilting. Wilting means abscission, and that is why the name has been given abscisic acid. So once again, I recapitulate. Auxin is a plant growth promoter. Why? Because it helps in the growth. It helps in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds. It also helps in cell enlargement, cell differentiation. The auxin also helps the plant to bend towards the light. Why? Because when light is coming from one side, auxin tend to diffuse on the side which is away from the light. And in this way, that part grow much in which auxin is present, and that part grow less which is towards the light, and that is why it bends. Gibberellin also is a plant growth promoter. It helps in the growth of the plant, and it has all the functions common to the auxin, but gibberellin is also doing one very important function. It helps in breaking the dormancy in seeds and bud. Cytokinin help in the cell division, fruit growth, and it also help in breaking the dormancy in seeds and bud. Plus, the cytokinin is also doing one very important function. And what is that function? That is, it help in opening of the stomata. But if the stomata remain open all the time, there must be someone who will close the stomata. So who is closing the stomata? It is the abscisic acid, which we call as a growth inhibitor. Plus the word abscisic, it means abscission, that is wilting and falling of the leaves. Is it clear to all the function of the hormones? The plant growth hormone is clear to all? Plant growth hormone is clear to all? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, fine. So can anyone explain me this phenomena which you are seeing over here? Please explain the phenomena which you are seeing in the slide. Okay, Anand, very good. I want this answer from all the students because today we will be confined with the discussion of the coordination in the plants, and in tomorrow class we will start with animal hormones. Yes, Anand, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Anand, explain this image.
In this picture, we see that oxygen in light coming side, the oxygen is less in number, and due to that, the oxygen diffuses to the side away from the light.
Away from the light, okay? So who will grow more? Go on.
So this away from the light side is growing more, and it grows towards the light.
Okay, fine. Good, Anand. One by one, all the students I want to answer this question. Nisha, unmute yourself, Nisha.
Yes, sir.
Nisha, explain this phenomena which I have highlighted on the screen. What is happening over here?
So plant is bending towards the light due to phototropism.
Okay, what is the role of oxygen over here? Do oxygen have any role?
Yes, sir. So oxygen diffuses away from away the sides.
Okay,
So
correct. Oxygen diffuses on the shady side, correct. Anushka.
Yes, sir.
Anushka, explain the phenomena.
Here, two stems are shown. In the first one, the light is coming vertically from above, so nothing special is happening. But in the second one, as the light is coming from sidewards, the diffusion of oxygen is being held on the side away from the light, which results in the sideward growth of the stem.
Very good, Anushka. Okay. Then after this, let me ask this question to Ria. Unmute yourself, Ria.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ria, go ahead
So
with
this is a process of growing a plant in the side of light. Here plant is growing and bending towards the light due to phototropism, and there is a oxygen hormone present in the other part of the plant where the light is
side with
and
the light
that's why the plant is bending towards the light.
towards the light. Okay, very good, Ria. Okay, next this question to yes, Tafsheer. Tafsheer, unmute yourself, Tafsheer.
So if the light comes from upward, the oxygen diffuses diffuses equally on both sides. And
Okay.
if the lights come from the side, and then oxygen diffuses towards the light.
Okay.
So away from the light.
Yes, which is on the shady side. Oxygen diffuses more on the shady side, which is away from the light. Okay, correct, Abhishek. Next, Nancy. Unmute yourself, Nancy. Nancy, unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, Anushka. Arya. Arya, unmute yourself. Arya, I think there's some net issue from your side. Always you're getting disconnected. Arya, unmute yourself. Yes, Arya.
On the first picture, the light comes from upward side, the oxygen diffuser down equally on both sides. And the second picture, the light comes from sideways, the oxygen diffuser on the shady side.
Okay, very good. Okay, so maximum of you have answered these questions well and fine. So any doubts in today's class till now, what we have done? Any doubt in today's class? Okay, Nancy. Okay, network issue. Okay. Okay, no doubts. So, okay, then recapitulation of today's class. How many hormones we have studied which are growth promoters? How many hormones we have studied which were growth promoters? In the chat box, you write now. Yes, yes. Riya, Anushka, Anand, write in the chat box. This is a one-word answer. Yes, good. 3 hormones. Yes. Can you name the hormones which were growth promoters? Can you name the hormones which are growth promoters? Can you name the hormones which are growth promoters? Very good, Riya. Very quickly. Yes. Auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. No, Nisha, abscisic acid is not a growth promoter. That's why I asked this question. Abscisic acid is not auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. Maximum of you are doing the spelling error. Okay, no problem. Auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin. And who is the growth inhibitor? Who is the growth inhibitor? Who is the growth inhibitor? Abscisic acid. You can also write in short ABA. Now, if you are saying a plant to be the growth promoter, why we are calling the plant to be growth promoter? On which basis we are calling them as a growth promoter? Why we are saying that the plant is this is a growth promoter? Okay, you write in the chat box, no problem. This is just a few word answer. Why the hormone is called the growth promoter? Because it helps in growth, that is cell elongation, cell enlargement, cell division, cell differentiation, fruit growth. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Yes, all of you have answered. And which hormone helps in opening of stomata? Which hormone helps in opening of stomata? Opening of stomata. Yes, Nisha, correct. Let me see the answers. Yes. Nisha is correct, Shamriku. Then Harsh. It's a cytokinin. Yes, very good. Which hormone helps in closing of stomata? Which hormone helps in closing of stomata? Very good, Nisha. Abscisic acid. Yes. Which hormones? See, I have used the word hormones. helps in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds? Which hormone helps in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds? Which hormone helps in breaking dormancy in seeds and buds? No, Ria, not all three. Correct, Anushka. Gibberellin and cytokinin, breaking dormancy. Gibberellin and cytokinin. And which was helping in maintaining the dormancy? Which was helping in maintaining the dormancy? Very good. ABA, abscisic acid. Correct. Good. Yes. Fine. Yes. So three hormones, auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin, they were the plant growth promoters, while abscisic acid were the plant growth inhibitors. Okay, correct. Good. Okay, students, our class is about to end. So thank you, students, for today's class, and tomorrow we will start with the animal hormone. Thank you all.